So, you ready?
I guess.
The following is a presentation of the Six Arrows Radio Network.
MTCRadio.com presents Ham Radio 360, the podcast. Brought to you by Elecraft. Now, here's your host, Kel Nelson, K4CDN.
Okay, guys, welcome into the special edition Hamvention 2017 Day 1 show. It's K4CDN, and you are?
I am Jeremy, KF7IJZ.
And we are in our hotel room.
We are in our hotel room.
Which is, I think it's a nice room.
Actually, I got to be honest, this hotel, I mean, it seems like it's all brand new. This is way above what I was expecting. We're staying in the Spring Hill Suites in Fairborn, Ohio. Oddly enough, George and us did not get the same hotel room. He's back at his hotel room right now editing audio that we captured today. And he's just basically on the other side of the parking lot from us, though. It's a big ring.
Yeah, it's nice. A lot of restaurants and whatever. So we are here to chat with you about Hamvention because it started today in the brand new venue. And in all things have been made new, it seems. Except it's still Hamvention.
It's still Hamvention.
Yeah.
It is still Hamvention. So, first of all, the first big change is it's not after midnight and we're recording this, so that's a win.
We're ahead, kind of.
We just got back to the hotel room after having dinner with George and several of our traveling companions who have been a wonderful help in the booth today.
Yes.
So, Cale, let's cover things that have happened since yesterday.
Okay.
All right. So yesterday, Thursday.
Yes.
I arrived on site approximately 10:15.
Yep.
I arrived, I headed to our booth, discovered that there were some issues with our booth out in Building 6, which is effectively a couple of large tents.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, I was a little underwhelmed and a little disappointed when I got there. They'd had some weather come through and had some water and other issues in there. I will say that the Hamvention staff were very attentive to us. They were working very hard to try to make things right. There were a lot of things going on yesterday. They had a lot of people to try to help out. And as we were kind of waiting around before we started bringing things in, we kind of had a little minor miracle happen.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
So we are no longer in booth 6501 and 6502. For those of you who made it to Hamvention today, we are in booth 1202 in Building 1, and that is because of the very kind and gracious efforts of airspy.us.
Yes.
So Joe and Tony, he and his wife run this business. They are the official distributor in the United States for AirSpy software-defined receiver equipment, including the AirSpy Mini, the AirSpy R2, SpyVerter, and other associated gear. And we were talking to them, and they needed 1.1 booths.
Yeah. But
Hamvention won't sell that. They sold 2. So they graciously offered us the other 90% of their booth, and so that's where we are.
And it's working great. I mean, it's a great spot, great neighbors, because SDR is huge with our audience and allows us to kind of share our audience with them and bring some of their folks over to our side as well. So really cool to be able to make that connection with them. And I actually bought my first AirSpy Mini today. I'm really excited about that.
You did. I'm very excited about that too. And I'm going to hook him up with a SpyVerter because I bought the brand new SpyVerter R2, which has overall a little bit better performance in every conceivable way, lower power, lower noise, etc. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
So today, fearing for concerns around traffic, we woke up at about 4:15, 4:20.
Yeah.
We all got ready. Staying in the room with us is Cale's very good and old friend, Chris.
Yep.
What's Chris's call sign?
Kilo November 4, Bravo Delta, Quebec.
That's right. Chris tagged along. This is not only his first Hamvention, he's only been a ham for all of about 10 minutes.
Well, maybe a little more than that, but it's
15.
Not long.
Amazing to have him along. Huge help to helping him keep organized. And today he was handing out flyers, he was acting as a very quiet barker to bring people to the booth.
Yeah.
But we got there. We pulled up at Hamvention at the vendor gate, and at 5:45, we were number 2 in line.
Yeah.
We got there. They let us in at 6. Couldn't get into the building until 7. We hung out, met a few other vendors as they slowly trickled in. Got to get in our booth, and as soon as we got in there, George and company showed up shortly thereafter, and we just sprung into action. And I'm talking boxes,
It was crazy, man.
crates, our bags, our recording equipment, all of the stuff. We just rushed in, got everything set up. And, of course, at the booth this year, we have every workbench build project, the antenna analyzer, the DC power module, the dummy load, the Arduino control dummy load, or the Smarty load, and the freebie that we're handing out, the little Arduino power pole, or not Arduino.
Anderson power pole.
Anderson power pole.
It's late, guys.
Distribution block. We had that. We had some swag.
Yeah, had some
what did
T-shirts.
we bring for swag?
I got T-shirts, and I have some patches. I forgot to get them out. Got car tags as well. So,
Okay.
But it's there. If you guys are here listening and you want something, it's there.
So we got set up. General public wasn't supposed to start rolling in until about 9.
They rolled in about 8:30.
They did. And the funny thing was, again, traffic concerns, but at about the worst of it, I was worried people were going to be stuck out there for hours and hours and hours.
About an hour is
And
what I
about
heard.
the worst that we heard was an hour. And I think that happened during a time where there was an accident on one of the main feeder roads.
Yeah, because there's just a few feeder roads to this event. So
And they're all 2-lane.
Yeah.
So it was a really good experience. This morning we had a little bit of weather come through, but okay, that's great. We're
it's
set up.
Hamvention. It's going to rain.
It's going to. We have a great booth. It's a little warm.
Yeah.
It was low 80s, but pretty high humidity. Everybody is sweating. So just if you're coming tomorrow, be prepared for that.
Yeah, shorts, T-shirts.
Shorts, T-shirts, stay hydrated. But that's all well and fine. The real story of today is you, the
You think
listener.
so?
Not you,
you were looking
Kale.
at me. I'm sorry. We never
No.
look at each other when we talk to each
Actually,
other.
yeah, we rarely get to actually see each other when we record this.
Yeah.
Is you, the listener.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
It was unbelievable. There was not really a time today
No.
when there weren't people at the booth. And I know we said that last year, but we were so caught off guard by the love that you guys have shown us.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, really, you guys again came out full force. We saw Ham Radio swag on people all over the place, and stopping by and talking multiple times. And hope that you come back again tomorrow. If you're still here, you're going to come back because we were so busy we didn't get the time we wanted with people like we wanted to. The sales of the items were taking some time as well, but having people come by and just reconnecting with a lot of people I recognized, some people we've never met before. At the same time, it was just amazing what the opportunities we had to catch up with people.
It really was, and it was so busy. Last year, Cale was more or less able to hold the booth down by himself while Jordan and I were off and running and getting interviews. But it was so busy today that there was rarely a time when we could easily be away from the booth.
And that, Jeremy, you're saying that it's not just our booth, though. The whole Hamvention was busy like that, and that really kind of affected what we kind of planned for today with you guys getting out and getting called or making calls on folks and getting interviews, which we'll get to here in just a moment. But it was really kind of hard to comprehend because it's spread out different, it's laid out different, everything looks and feels different. But it's still Hamvention. I was impressed that we had more space between the aisles. The aisles seemed wider, which made it easier for people to kind of maneuver through, at least in Building 1 where we were.
So let's talk about the facilities overall. So starting with the indoor buildings, you have Building 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Yes.
These buildings have, for the most part, nice wide aisles.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's 10 by 10 space is actually 10 by 10. Everything is spotlessly clean.
Yeah. For an outdoor,
For
semi-outdoor
a farm, exposition. The interior, as far as the conditions of the facilities, everything was well maintained. All these barns have like this sewn in is the wrong word, but this insulation in the roofs.
Yeah.
It's
a big metal building, insulated metal building.
Yep. But everything was clean and well organized. You didn't have a lot of tripping hazards. You didn't have the building falling down on you.
No black mold. I saw no black mold.
No black mold. Unfortunately, there were no wood floors. Standing on concrete all day is a little hard.
Tough.
But the facilities are great. On the outside, you basically have food vendors dispersed everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're talking corn dogs, Italian sausage,
Funnel cake stuff.
funnel cake, like carnival food, pizza vendors. But then they had people there, like the Ohio Beef Association was there grilling steaks.
Yeah.
Hamburgers, hot dogs.
Coffee people.
There were coffee trucks. There were ice cream trucks. Actually, there was an ice cream truck that was making homemade ice cream by using like 100-year-old tractor PTO, basically.
Yeah, it was the what do they call it? I can't remember what they call it now. But yeah,
And sad thing is, we want to get some, but the line was insane.
hit and miss. It's called a hit and miss.
Okay,
motor.
hit and miss ice cream.
Yep. No, hit and miss motor.
That's what. Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. So it was the venue. I thought was pretty amazing. Richard and Christine and them have a crazy trailer. It was working out great. They were busy every time I went by there.
Yep.
Elecraft's booth was wide open, and
they had no time.
Yeah, we were shaking hands, kissing babies, and having a good time. So
and about the no time, I left the booth several times this morning with my rig in tow, trying to get interviews with people, and things were so crazy.
Yeah.
They were either so many people deep that I didn't want to even try to interrupt them because they were trying to sell or have conversations, or people asked, basically very kindly said, I would love to talk to you. I'm a little busy right now. Try to come back later.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is unlike, we got that a few times last year and the year before, but I'm telling you, everybody was busy.
It just seemed like there were more people here to me. And I don't know if it's because of the way the venue's kind of set up where the buildings almost go in an arc and you can kind of flow through them easier and you're not going up and down and, you got to go outside and go around the corner. It's very easy to maneuver through these buildings one to the next. And there were just so many people. I mean, there was no way that I thought we could really get even what we got. But what we did get is going to be great, and I'm excited because we got vendors. But in addition to vendors, we had people who were there in the facility to be able to share their first experiences from Xenia, and I think that. Of course, you and I both know we love our audience and want to get them on the air. So it's always cool to make that connection, and especially when we can get their feedback for the listeners who can't be here with us.
So just overall, the place is clean. There's a lot of green space.
Yeah.
Even when it rained, reports. We have my club is out in the field, KD8LBS, the Ohio Valley Experimenters Club. They're in what I call the little flea market, which is closer to the buildings. It's not the one that's in the outfield. And I promised I'd tell them they're selling print as you wait little ID badges where they'll take your picture and print you a custom amateur radio badge for $10.
And put your license on the rear of it, too.
Yeah, they'll
cool.
put your information on the back of it. By the way, I forgot to tell you something today.
What's that?
Well, our club officers met, and I've got good news and bad news.
Okay.
The good news is you don't owe any dues. The bad news is you are now official honorary lifetime members of the Ohio Valley Experimenters
Now, how
Club.
cool is that?
You and George. Now,
Sweet.
I live there, so I still have to pay dues, but that's okay.
And Chris wonders why he's not unofficial.
Yeah. But, no, we had a great time today. Everybody was in a good mood, and I'd step outside every now and again just to catch a breather and kind of stretch my legs, and I'd ask people, I said, what do you think? I'd just ask them, not throwing a microphone. I don't want to intimidate people. But I didn't have a single person, other than a couple people were like, I had to sit in my car a little while.
Yeah.
But nobody complained.
Yeah.
And it was really neat to see. Nobody knows where anybody is. People kept saying, like, where's Yesu? And I was like, they're in building 2 or 3.
Yeah, somewhere over there. Yeah, who knows?
It's all new.
Everything's new. And there's not the big arena where all of them are kind of piled in there on top of each other. It's almost like every building has 1 or 2 major manufacturers to highlight that building. And I think that's going to be really cool to be able to give them kind of ownership of those areas and kind of coordinate the people who work alongside of them or maybe complement them as they grow this thing out. Now, we did catch up with some of our friends before we get to this because I don't think we got Jason on tape today from Ham Radio 2.0.
No, we did not.
We did an interview for his show. He and I did a video, which Face Made for Radio, and then our buddy Eric Guth came by. Really excited to meet him, and he's as tall as me, so that was really cool. I love it when people are not taller than me, and I'm realizing I'm shorter than I actually thought I was. But Eric was such a nice guy.
It was absolutely
that was a
amazing.
great time.
It really was.
And guys, he is really cool as you think that he is. He is such a genuine dude. And Eric, we really appreciate you coming by.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I also this morning got to spend some quality time with Cheryl and Russ and Bill over at Linux and the Ham Shack.
I'm going to see them tomorrow.
They're over in Building 5. They had a nice little setup over there kind of by Heil Sound, and a lot of the Audio Alley folks had a nice chat with them. For any of you who follow Cale on Instagram, Bill implored me to beg Cale to use the rear camera so all of his pictures weren't backwards.
I think the logo in reverse messes him up, but that's why he's a nerd.
He can hold his phone in a mirror and look at it.
There you go. There you go, Bill. Sorry.
So we have a couple of listener interviews,
okay,
and then a few vendor interviews we're going to go through.
All right.
Our goal is to hustle up and try to get some more. We're going to get there again early tomorrow. The good news is, actually, this is something we forgot to mention. The vibe yesterday, last year when we were there on Thursday, everybody was already set up. And I got all my shopping done on Thursday last year because everybody was set up. Payments were working.
Not this year.
And I'm talking the big ones. Yaesu was still putting their booth
Kenwood
together.
had no radios on display when we got here this morning.
Ham Radio Outlet didn't have anything out. They were loading stock out yesterday. Gigaparts had their booth completely cordoned off as they assembled it. It was everybody was busy. And this morning when we got there, people were still hustling to get their booths together. So we made the best of it. But so far, the energy is high.
I think it's been great. I mean, I'm more slam out, so something good has happened because standing there all day, you don't get tired just standing there all day. There was a lot of energy expended, and it was a marvelous experience. Hats off to the DARA because, I mean, what could have been a total disaster has really been well prepared for. In spite of what a lot of people say and a lot of people believe, we were there, we've been there, and although it didn't come off without a hitch, and we even had to move.
We had to move. But
I'm telling you, this is a great new venue. They'll get the traffic figured out the next couple of years.
Yep.
But I am very pleased to have been here again.
Me too.
And I can't wait to hear what you got to share with the listener.
And honestly, I'm just excited to be in the ground floor. I do want to give a special thanks to Jack Erb, the vice chair of Hamvention for DARA. The personal attention we got was humbling.
Yes.
And I want to thank Brian Markland, who is the Inside Exhibit chair and has been, who has the most thankless job in all of ham radio.
Yeah.
These guys were sweating it for us and sweating it for you. And if you're coming tomorrow, we can't wait to see you. Please stop by booth 1202.
Yes, right.
And come ready to eat.
Yeah, there's food and there's a lot of fun. So
it's amazing. We didn't even make it to the big flea market today.
I haven't seen anything, dude.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jeremy, for getting out there. George did a great job today as well. All of our friends from California and South Carolina and friends from Ohio coming and helping. And it's been a great time so far. So we're going to stop talking because I know you're tired of hearing us. You want to hear what's going on at Hamvention. So we're going to get some real life stuff for you. We'll be back tomorrow, which may be today.
George will be here
sometime. Yep, and we'll share some more stuff with you. Thank you guys so much for giving us a chance, and we'll see you next time.
Be safe if you're coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember the shuttle bus; it may help. All right, here we go. We'll get to this stuff, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
We're here in the booth of TotalMassSolutions.com, and I'm talking to Simon Bourne, the CEO of the company. And Simon, I want to stop by and take a look at your masts. You have some really interesting antenna mast products. So why don't you tell us a little bit about those?
Okay, we brought a brief selection of the masts that we have established, both throughout the UK and Europe, are very popular with the amateur radio fraternity. They tend to choose between 35 and 40 feet extended, but we have over a range of 1,000 masts in our range, which we can provide any solution with a short retracted height, which can be important when people are transporting these things in smaller vehicles, and through to very, very big diameter masts, which will carry up to half a ton.
So when I look at these masts, some of these look like they're mechanical mast that you would unclamp and lift the mast. But the impressive ones, the big ones, if you will, they're pneumatic masts, I assume.
Yes, they're all pneumatic. We have a range of pump-up masts, whether you can choose to pump them up with a hand pump, which is very, very simple. Most sort of 40-foot masts you can typically deploy in about 3 minutes.
So what do you need besides the mast? Do you need a compressor and an air tank, or what do you require?
No, you can have a 12-volt compressor, which we supply, or as you see with the mast on the tripod just there, that comes with an integral hand pump. And with the integral hand pump, it literally takes a minute to extend the mast to 40 feet.
So what kind of an antenna could you put on these? Could you put, besides obviously a vertical, you could put a Yagi or some other large antenna?
Hex beams, Yagis. We make all the bracketry for the Yaesu rotators. So we have the full turnkey solution. Most people at this show have been very surprised at the prices that we can sell these things for. The simple fact is we produce a lot of masts, and therefore price over volume. People have been very surprised at how cheap we are.
So your company is headquartered in the UK, I assume?
Yes, but we're here to look for other distributors. Of course, this is going to take time for us to train these guys up to know what they're talking about. So we're suggesting for the next 6 months or so that we continue to supply from the UK. In any case, because we produce over 10,000 masts a year, we get very, very good freight rates. So it's not expensive for us to send them from the UK to here.
So when I look at these masts, the first thing I think of is for a portable or maybe an NCOM vehicle, kind of maybe one of your smaller ones perhaps. Yeah. But would customers ever use these kind of masts in a home installation?
Yeah, we do a full range of mounting systems, so they can be wall mounted, or we do a bolt down base, so they can bolt it to a concrete base, or every solution you can ever think of, and some you'll have never thought of.
Well, I have to tell you, when I look at these are really high quality professional masts. These are not inexpensive amateur hobbyist class products. These look like very professional gear.
Well, yeah, I mean they come with all the certification you would expect that we sell to the military, the police forces, the fire brigades. But we realise for the amateur fraternity, well, it's coming out of a single person's back pocket. Well, we price to make our equipment accessible to them. It's my job within the company to keep my factory busy. So we don't make our money out of the amateur radio fraternity, but it keeps our factory busy.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for supporting the community. Your products look fabulous. And it's great to see you here, and I hope we'll see you at Hamvention next year. You
will do, and if there are any of the charitable institutions, I like in England and across Europe, we have the Raynet in England, and I understand you have the Aries and other such like charity sort of based organisations that provide the civil contingencies. We do support them, and we've made a number of charitable donations free of charge to these guys, and all we ask is for them to spread the word about our products.
Wow, that's fantastic. So thank you for supporting the community, and I'd suggest everybody check out their website. This is really fascinating, and you see these things installed on vehicles, but I've never seen someone who actually has them for sale. Yeah. So it's great to see them here at the show.
Yeah. Well, we've had a great show. We've had fantastic response today. I'm really pleased. So let's see what happens from here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your time, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
So I'm in the HobbyPCB booth here at Dayton with Curtis, KI4SXB, and HobbyPC was one of the vendors that we mentioned on our last show that we wanted to check out here at Dayton. And the reason for that is last time I saw some of the low-power project boards with the Arduino interfaces, the UV3. I bought a couple of those boards, and they're really cool. And I was surprised how many interesting projects you guys are working on. So I wanted to come by and see what's new with HobbyPCB here at the show.
Awesome. Thanks for stopping by and checking it out. Yeah, this year at the show, the big thing is we just came off of our Kickstarter campaign for our RSHFIQ, which is our 5-watt, 80 to 10 meter SDR transceiver. So we actually have those in stock this year for the first time at the show, and we're showing them off. We hopefully tomorrow we'll be showing off the standalone radio board we're working on for that, so that it takes the computer out of the equation. We've also got here our IQ Keyer, which is new, that allows you to run true CW with an SDR. So it takes the latency out of CW for SDRs, not just our own SDR, but any SDR out there. And we've got our full watt meter kit that's an Arduino-based watt meter. So we provide everything, the Arduino, the watt meter shield, and the LCD display to build a really awesome watt meter kit.
So are all those products pre-assembled? I mean, you mentioned kit for the watt meter, so obviously it's a kit. Are those available assembled, and are the other products all assembled or kits?
So most of our products these days are assembled, or there's some assembly required. Like our transceiver is a fully assembled board. You buy the enclosure separately, so you have to do a couple of solder joints and slide it into a case. Same thing with our Keyer and the Arduino kit. There's a little bit of soldering. Kind of our Cadillac kit that we've had around for a long time is our Hard Rock 50. That's our 50-watt amplifier. So guys looking for a real good kit, that's what we call it, easy build kit. It's got all of the surface mount components installed, but you get the fun part of going in and installing relays and winding coils, and it's about an 8-hour soldering job for that kit.
So let me take you back to the new transceiver, the SDR transceiver. A lot of the SDRs that I've seen that do have a transmit feature in it are usually very low power. It maybe a milliwatt or 10 milliwatts or something on the low end. And you said yours is 5+ watts?
Yeah, it's a 5 watts. So we've actually put a 5-watt power amp on the board, along with all the required filtering, which is very key. So it's a completely legal board to do a 5-watt transmit.
And how much is that?
It retails for $239.
So that's what frequency range does that cover?
That's 80 meters to 10 meters.
So 80 to 10 meter, 5 watt, sideband SDR transceiver for under $300.
Yes, it is.
And that's fully assembled.
Fully assembled and ready to go.
You guys make some really cool stuff. Unfortunately, every time I come by and look at what you have, I want to buy another product. So that's very exciting. And I'm also kind of curious about the not older, but current product, the UV3, the one I bought. I bought it because I wanted to make a little analog micro repeater. And while I could cobble that together with other radios, since you did a great job of bringing out all of the controls and all of the signals that you need to interface to a repeater controller, it was very easy to do that. So what kind of projects do you see people building with that?
It's really crazy, the kind of things that people are coming up with. Really, we've got, like you said, repeaters. We've got our own full duplex repeater that we built out of it. We've heard of digipeaters. We have an amateur radio club at university that's doing high altitude ballooning with it. Really, fox hunt beacons, anything you can think of, especially if it needs to be headless and you just want to have, really something lightweight and inexpensive that, you can turn into something that just sits in the field. It's a perfect application for it.
So let me ask you one last question. When I look at your products, I, as a home ham radio hobbyist builder kind of guy myself, when I looked at your products, I think these are the kind of things that I would like to build myself, or I would like to buy and use in a project. And so I think you guys have done a really nice job in selecting these different types of devices you're building. Do you have any particular strategy in mind is there some particular target audience in mind, or what motivated you guys to do this?
Yeah, so our strategy is to we look for those niche products where we can do something that either it doesn't exist today or we feel it's overpriced in the market. So we like to come in and find something where we can create an innovative design and really be a low-cost, high-quality product for people. We also know that there's a lot of experimenters out there. We're experimenters ourselves. That's how this all started. Jim Veach, our chief engineer, he won the Homebrew Challenge, the ARL Homebrew Challenge, and that's what our amplifier is based off of. So, there's a lot of barriers if you want to build things yourselves, and so we try to lower those barriers, make it easier. Some of the things that we're going to look for is doing a lot more Arduino-based products so that people can get in there and tweak the code if they want to, or maybe convert it into something else.
Oh, that's excellent. I think your stuff is really great. I wish all of our listeners could be here to see your demos, but they should certainly go to the website and check it out. So we're at HobbyPCB, and I want to thank you very much, Curtis, for your time.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you stopped by.
So I'm in the SatNOGS booth with Corey, KB9JHU, and I don't know what SatNOGS is, but everybody standing around here looks smarter than me, and whatever it is, it sounds interesting because it says Satellite Network Open Ground Station. So Corey, what are you guys doing?
So to explain what we're doing, let me first explain the problem that we're trying to solve. Satellites are becoming cheaper to launch. The CubeSat format is making it relatively cheap for universities to send experiments up to space, cheap for amateur radio to send more satellites up to space. And so there are more being sent by the month now. More satellites going up. A lot of them are using ham radio frequencies, and they rely on amateur radio operators to collect telemetry and then give that telemetry report back to the satellite operators. That's a manual process today, and there are a handful of hams around the world who do this as a hobby. You get home from work, you might track a couple of satellites or track some on the weekends, and then send that data back up to the operators. Meanwhile, the satellites are going and they're beaconing, all the time, and there's a lot of data being lost. So what we are looking to do is fully automate that process of data collection and data reporting so that, the operator is somebody who builds the ground station and maintains the ground station, but the actual collection of the data coming down from the satellites is all done in software and all autonomous. So we have a network on the website. And this is a website that can be used to control the network of ground stations and send out observation commands to the ground station clients. And we have a client package which runs on a Raspberry Pi, makes use of an RTL SDR software-defined radio stick, and can control any commercial rotator that is supported by HamLib today in Linux, and actually take the satellite path and track the satellite in the sky, as well as pull the radio frequency down from the satellite It's going to do all of the Doppler correction in real time, and then upload the results of that pass, both in a waterfall image format and the audio data, back to our website.
So if I understand the basic idea, since there's so many satellites and only so many fewer number of Earth stations to actually capture the telemetry data from the satellites, you're going to the community to get the average ham to put up their own ground station to grab the satellite telemetry data. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, and we're doing this in two different ways. The one way is to approach hams who are into satellites today. They may have a Yaesu 5500 at their house, a couple of nice antennas, and they might get on it and make a contact, once a month or so. When they're not making contacts, our client can run on a Raspberry Pi and make use of their ground station 24/7 and collect data using their ground station and put their ground station to use.
So if I wanted to be one of your ground stations and I'm not connected to AMSAT or any other organization, would you hook me up? In other words, would you provide the hardware to me and I set it up and then the data goes somewhere and I'm being a good Samaritan? Or how does that work?
We don't provide anything yet. We do provide an open hardware design for a 3D printed rotator. If somebody wanted to build one and do a homebrew rotator kit, that's all out there. We have instructions for that. We don't sell any kits or give anything out. It's an open source project and a community run project. So it would be up to the ground station operator to go out and buy a rotator and build it themselves, or take our design and build their own rotator with 3D printed parts.
Are any of the satellites receivable with an omnidirectional antenna like an egg beater or a traditional satellite antenna without a bunch of gain? You don't need a rotor and all that fancy stuff?
Yeah, so in fact, we're testing this out in a couple of sites right now. Anytime you have an omnidirectional antenna like that, you need really good preamplification there at the antennas. So our software can be tweaked a little bit for an omnidirectional type of setup, and if it's good enough to receive signals on, let's say, 2 meters or 440, then by all means, yeah, we'll take any kind of antenna configuration that people can get.
So how many Earth stations are using your software now?
Right now we have two different versions of the network. We have production, and then we have our dev, like a sandbox for new stations that are being built. And in production, we have, I think, 8 stations today, with many more that are in dev today. Because either they're being built or they're being tested and tweaked. Some people need to add an amplifier before the signal is going to be strong enough to move it to dev, or they're in the middle of building it as a kit with their school or their hackerspace.
So it's interesting to me because a lot of us would love to participate in some sort of satellite operation, but we may not have the time to sit at home and put all the gear together and point at the satellite and have a QSO. Of course, a lot of people do, but a lot of us don't. So it seems like this is a way to participate in that community without actually having to sit there and operate.
Absolutely. Once it's set up, depending on the setup, it should be a set and forget type of scenario. Or, we want a set and be involved. We have a community forum site. We have a database site full of information about these satellites, and it's a crowdsourced website. So anybody who maybe even isn't capable of doing a ground station can still get involved with this project by helping us out with the information on all of the new CubeSats that are getting launched every month, tracking them, figuring out what's wrong with satellites that aren't beaconing, or helping us with the integrity of the data in our database.
Well, this is very exciting. It's fun to see this. This reminds me of some of these other community receiver projects like the ADSB, aircraft data, that sort of idea, right?
Yeah, that's the common comparison. It is, we are the Flight Radar 24 of space.
Oh, that's very cool. So if people are interested, how would they get a hold of you guys?
There are a couple ways. You can see everything on SatNOGS.org. That's SatNOGS.org. We have a community forum website as well. And then all of the data that we have on our network site is freely available. So people are free to log in and go poke around. You can look at the data, download the data, decode it yourself, look for anomalies. And we also run a IRC channel on Freenode. It's #SatNOGS on irc.freenode.org.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for your time, and I wish you guys the best. This is really cool.
Good. Well, thanks for having me on.
So I'm here with Stan, WD0BGS, with Vibroplex. Stan, how's it been so far?
Oh, it's been excellent. We've been very, very busy today. We've had a lot of inquiries on our new products, and I think we're very happy with the results so far.
So when I walked by your booth, what strikes me is you have a lot of top brands here. So it starts with Vibroplex. I noticed there's also Spider Beam, and there's other products, InRad. Tell us a bit about the range of the products that you guys offer.
We handle the Spider Beam products of masts and antennas. We carry both the fiberglass and aluminum masts. We have a new ERC rotor control unit, which is can be adapted into any of the new rotors that are out today to automatically control your rotor direction through your laptop or computer. And we also have, the Vibroplex product line and Bencher product line. We have the just acquired 403A products, which is a lot of accessories to the amateur market. And the newest item, which is a InRad name, which is the microphones that just came in, and we're just showing those that's kind of the newest introduction here.
So you guys really have quite a portfolio of leading brands, and all under the Vibroplex name. So for our listeners, they might have heard of Vibroplex, which is the most famous name in telegraph keys for the last century. So give us a little bit about what's happening on the Vibroplex products and where is that headed?
Well, Vibroplex has always been a popular name. We have some interesting products. We have a couple of things that have been added to the product line over the past few years, and one is called the VibroCube, which is for those hams that don't want to chase their key around the operating position. We've got one that's a heavy key. It has oversized paddles on it. It's iambic style. What a wonderful product! It's got everybody that has one just absolutely raves about them. And we have that here. We're showing it in both the deluxe and the standard version. We, of course, carry a lot of the products in both the chrome bases and the black bases. Items like the Blue Racer have been around for years, comes both in the deluxe chrome version and the blue finish. And, of course, we have a couple of other items, the ZN Ultimate, which is a product that uses a magnetic action, and that's been a very, very good key as well. So a lot of things, and we have them all out here on display, so you can see them, you can feel them, touch them, hear them. You know exactly what you're getting.
So if I have an old Vibroplex key that I bought 30 years ago, I have an electro keyer. If I need a part for that thing, do you guys have parts for the old keys?
Sure do. We also refurbish old keys. We can take and replace parts on the majority of them. Now, there might be some of the real early models that we don't have parts for. But for the most, we have the correct parts necessary to get you up and running again.
So I also noticed, of course, Spider Beam is one of your top brands. That's a very popular antenna. Tell us a little bit about what the Spider Beam product looks like and what's so special about that.
Well, the Spider Beam itself is a 5-band. It comes either in 5-band heavy duty or 5-band portable use, and it's a full wavelength on the 20, 15, and 10, and it also has, in the 5-band version, we have, of course, the work bands on there as well. So that adds 12 and 17, and that product, unbeknownst to most people, is the fact that it's not like the upside down umbrella product. It's flat, so it's less noticeable in your neighborhood. So if you're trying to keep a little bit more of a conspicuous look with your antennas, this will offer that. It has less wind load, and it does give you a little advantage in gain overall. Yes.
So when I think about the Spider Beam, the first thing I think about is that sort of bowl-shaped hex beam, but the Spider Beam is in a plane. It's not bowl-shaped. That's
correct. So you have less wind load on it, and it's a little lighter weight. The whole antenna weighs only about 26 pounds.
And I've heard people buying other accessories from you who might be building their own antennas, like fiberglass masts and other bits and pieces. So it seems like you have a bunch of other accessory components and things that people could use, right?
Well, especially when you don't have a tree in your backyard. We have fiberglass poles. We sell just a ton of these fiberglass poles. Our best-selling pole is a 12-meter pole, and that extends up to 40 feet. our most popular pole, and it's really moderately priced. It's only $105. We sell an 18-meter pole, and of course we have some very large poles here as well for those that want to put up a big vertical and or if they want to tie off a big loop or whatever the case might be. So we've got all of those shown here on display, so you can see what they look like. You can feel them, touch them, and get a little idea of what you might need for a future project.
Well, that's great. You've got some great stuff, and thank you for your time, and hope the Dayton show is really good for you.
All right, I am standing here at the BridgeCom Systems booth with Tim, KE0GWR. Tim, we are in a brand new location. Has this met, exceeded, or failed your expectations?
So far, I think it's actually exceeded. I mean, foot traffic here has been awesome. And from talking to people that are out there, it sounds like it's just as busy in the flea market and everything else it is here. So it's been really good.
Outstanding. So what did BridgeCom bring to Dayton this year?
Lots of new stuff, plus some existing stuff we've had for a long time. Of course, we've always had repeaters, mobiles, and handhelds. We've got 2 new mobiles. We have a 220 that we've had before. We partnered that with the 144 as well as the 440. So we have 3 mobiles that will all run the same software, so keeps it easy for programming.
All right, so tell us about some of the new products.
Other new products we've got a D-Star kit, so any of our repeaters can be turned into a D-Star. So you can do, in particular, 220 D-Star, like with the Kenwood HT. We brought our amateur radio networking system, so you can do radio over IP linking on any of the products. Plus, we've got a new handheld that's coming out end of July-ish, as soon as stock arrives. That's going to be 2-meter and 440 on analog.
So that's an analog handheld. So for the D-Star repeater module, what's powering that? Is it a custom design?
Kind of. It's semi-custom. We're partnering with Northwest Digital next to us here. They've got the UDRC hat that goes on top of a single-board computer. We've created a kit that's the custom cable, the box, everything you need, so it's all ready to program in your reflector, set up with your frequency, and put it on a BCR repeater and go on the air.
So do you guys have any 220 D-Star repeaters in the field now?
I think there's 4 or 5 of them out there. There's at least 5 of them out there right now, and then there's a couple more that we have yet to do. So, plus we've been playing with the shop for a month.
So tell us, what is your favorite digital mode?
Mine, I'm getting used to D-Star. That's just a whole new ball game for me, so I'm kind of playing with that. That's been fun lately. DMR is still my favorite, just because to me it's easier to program than some others. But I'm getting used to D-Star now, and so that's just fun.
All right, so tell us some about the networking products that you brought.
We brought amateur radio networking system. So for a number of years, we've been offering a commercial version. Now we've brought it hopefully to the amateur folks, where you can put a box, radio over IP box gateway, on a repeater and network it then to another gateway, another repeater, and on down the line until you have a system. And you have total control. It's all web-based control. So you can set up or tear down a link as you feel necessary.
Is this all DMR specific?
It'll do DMR, P25, analog, anything you want to do, anything you can bring in the analog audio to, then you can create a link to.
So this basically serves as an IP link for physical repeaters using any communications technology that you want.
That's right. It could be actually a repeater. It could also even be just a mobile radio. So if you just want to bring in a talk group from like a P25 group locally, you could do that.
All right, awesome, Tim. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing stuff from you again in the future.
Sure. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.
I'm standing here with John, Whiskey 6 Tango Romeo Foxtrot, all the way in from California. John, this is your first time at Hamvention.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's everything folks said it would be and a bit more.
All right, so you don't have the benefit of experience with Hera, so you are not only looking at Xenia with new eyes, you are looking at Hamvention with new eyes. Give us an overview of what it's like for somebody who's never been here.
Wow, so probably the only other event I've been at is BayCon, which is our local event in the, PacificCon, which is our local event in the Bay Area. And I was trying to judge it by that coming in, and I would say that feels like it's probably 8 to 10 times bigger than PacificCon. It's broken up into 5 or 6 different buildings / tents, and every vendor I've been looking for is here selling their wares, informing us. There was some concern coming in that the crowds would be many and the roads couldn't handle them, but with enough paranoia amongst the prepared MCOM hams. Everybody found different routes, and I really haven't heard anybody complain about getting here today. So,
yeah, I did notice that the traffic seemed to be not as bad as we had feared. Now, we've been here since about 5:45, and we were one of the first vendors in, so I was surprised. But everything seems to have gone very smoothly. What were you expecting to find when you got here?
Again, I kind of kept a really open mind, so I would, again, I expected to see vendors and booths. I probably thought that there would be more forums or seminars going on than they've got 2 large seminar rooms that I'm aware of. They may have more that had very interesting topics, but I thought there was maybe going to be more of that. But it's really a lot of vendors, a lot of hams, friendly hams, novice through 50, 60-year hams experts, and they're all willing to share their knowledge. If you're up looking at a key or a radio and they're overhearing what you're saying, they'll offer their advice to complement what the vendor's selling. And again, it's very friendly to a new ham, so a great experience.
So who were some of your favorite vendors here?
Well, it was nice to see Ellencraft, even though they're neighbors of ours in San Jose. So it was good there. Bagali, I'd heard a lot about Bagali, but never got to touch one of their keys. And again, I'm not a CW guy, but they treated me as though I were a CW knowledgeable guy and showed me the features that differentiate them, which has been really fun. I also like and I'm going to blank on is it an MCOM? One of the show sponsors. I can look at his name later, but anyway, he has something to go.
Comms to go.
Comms to go. Yeah, Comms to go. Again, very helpful. Probably one of my favorite vendors in that he was very educational and talked about his different components and parts and kind of their story, and that was great. I was so impressed. I ended up spending some money with him at the end.
So speaking of spending money, what did you buy today?
Over in the Ham Radio 360 booth, there are some bare boards that are like $2 and $3 a piece. I held my money in my pocket all day and spent $15 on project kits from Ham Radio 360.
One question. Are you going to come back next year?
I'd sure love to come back next year. It's a long trip from San Jose, probably close to 2,500 to 3,000 miles. And it was, again, a great group of guys and a great trip. If I don't make it next year, it'll be the year after that.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Have a great show.
So I'm standing here with Brian Hoyer, K7 UDR from Northwest Digital Radio. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing good today. How about you, Jeremy?
I'm doing well. So tell me, has Dayton been meeting, exceeding, or falling below your expectations with the new venue?
So in terms of the venue, it's meeting at or above. In terms of the confusion getting here, that was all anticipated. We figured there'd be problems with the new venue, and there have been. On the way out here, I left my MacBook on an airplane and then flew through, they said around, but kind of through a thunderstorm. So it's exciting getting here. I can't blame these guys for that.
So give us a little bit about Northwest Digital Radio. Tell our listeners what you guys do.
Okay, so Northwest Digital Radio is focused on the digital side of radio, and that's in all bands, by the way. And we've come out with a variety of products to implement that. We're a value-based company, so we're looking at getting people into digital radio at a good price point, delivering good value.
So tell us a little bit about your products.
Well, I'm going to start with a couple of products. First, I'm going to go backwards to the UDR-C2, which we launched last year at Dayton, and that's fit an interesting need. So Yaesu came out with their DR1X, which is an analog/fusion repeater, and we built a box that enabled the capability to add D-Star to it, figuring that if people want to, then more is better. That's been very successful. But at the same time, we also wanted to bring back all the packet applications like APRS, iGates, RMS gateways, WinLink, and also the FL Digi stuff, which is usable on both FM and also up in the upper bands. So that's been interesting. That came out last year. So there's an exciting thing this year, and they say that necessity is the mother of invention. So I was doing an Echolink implementation for our local repeater, and in doing that, I used our UDRC and a 25-watt mobile rig, and everything worked fine. But then I realized that meant in my shack, if someone came in over Echolink, I couldn't hear the repeater. So I was going to go buy an inexpensive HT and tear it apart and cobble it together on our UDRC. And then I said, wait a minute, I think a better way to do it is to put a 1-watt transceiver right on the UDRC. And now at Dayton this year, we're talking about a new product, which is not out yet, called the 1-watt Spot. And we'll be showcasing that probably at Seaside in a couple weeks. And we're going to file our first Kickstarter to get that going.
Awesome. And is there any updates on the product that you guys first unveiled 4 years ago, and can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The UDRX, in January we got back the pilot run. We'd switched to the Pi. We had new packaging. But we once again have had some resource problems. So although the drivers are done and the radio is up, it's still in the RF lab, and I'm not quite sure when it's going to come out still.
Outstanding. So what is it you're most excited about in this year as far as digital radio?
So what I'm most excited about is, let's see, a few years ago at Tapper DCC in Atlanta, I gave a talk about a hailing channel for packet radio. The idea of you get on APRS frequency 144.39 and then you automatic QSY off. Well, the 1-watt Spot that we've come out with is a frequency agile radio, so we can now fulfill that dream of having a radio that can camp on a commonly used frequency, exchange information, and yet QSY someplace else for personal data transfer. Second thing, a couple years later, I did a talk on authentication for packet radio at Microhams, and Andrew Pavlin, when he wrote Yak, implemented it, which is fantastic. The 1-watt Spot, once again, will be an ideal platform for that. So, for instance, I want to turn preheat on my airplane in my hangar, but I don't want anybody else to turn it on. Well, with the 1-watt Spot, I can bounce it off a Digi on a mountaintop, kick on my preheat, get a acknowledgement back, know everything's working. I'm also going to put one, we have a private water system, I'm going to put one on my well. My son's got a creek in his backyard, he's going to do a river monitor. So there's been talk of the APRS of things, and I think it's going to help with that. A third thing I'm excited about, Direwolf, which we use heavily, excellent product, also has some experimental ability for QPSK, and I want to look at QPSK combined with FEC for digital radio. Back to the frequency agility. The last thing in the world I want to do is pollute the APRS channel with that kind of traffic. But if we can get on a common frequency using standard protocols, QSY over and change protocols, we can get a development community. In my small area in northwestern Washington, up in the islands, we've now got dozens of hams that are within radio sight of each other that have this equipment. Now's the chance to really start doing some playing and deliver on the promise.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us and our listeners. And if people want to know more about your products, where can they go?
www.nwdigitalradio.com.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Have a great Dayton.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I'm standing here with friend of the show, Bruce W1GQ, famous DXer.
Only in the eyes of Ham Radio 360 am I a famous DXer.
So, how many trips to Dayton have you had?
That's a good question. I've probably been to Dayton 5 times, but it's been an aspiration since I was a kid back in the late 60s, early 70s. So it wasn't until I started hanging out with George Zephyropoulos that I started coming to Dayton. And I want you to know that he didn't come with me at the first show, and I hauled all of his equipment out to Dayton, manned the booth, sold his stuff, and he never made it out. Do you know that? That was the first time? Yeah. So GQ, or GZ, I should say, George Zephyropoulos, I think it's his 4th time, and it's maybe my 5th. Maybe more. Who knows?
Well, then you're obviously a good friend.
I've known George for a long time. In fact, I'll tell you one thing. We were talking about this last night. When we were kids, I used to go to Henry Radio on Olympic Boulevard in Southern California in the late 60s, early 70s. And he was there working at Henry Radio when I would come from up in Palos Verdes down to shop at Henry Radio. And it wasn't until about 30 years later that we actually know each other. So we were kids at the same radio shop but never knew each other. So George's a good guy.
We think so. We'll keep him. So given that you've been here all day, this is the first time any of us have been at Xenia, what are some of the comparisons to Hera?
Well, there's one obvious one. I think Hera should burn to the ground fast. And this place is a keeper. This is nice. It's actually wide open. It's got a good, nice environment. Actually, the forums are really nice, too. The air conditioning, they're comfortable. Hera didn't have that. Hera should have been shut down a long time ago, and they didn't do it.
What do you think about the turnout here?
I don't know what the count is. I bet it's in the 20,000, 25,000 range is kind of my guess. And I think it's been good. The hallways are wide open, so you can move around in the show as well. It's raining right now. It's 5 o'clock on a Friday. And I bet out in the trailer section is probably a little muddy right now. But other than that, I think it's good.
Yeah, I think surprisingly everything has gone off very swimmingly. There have not really been any major issues or major hitches today. So who are some of the people that are your favorite to come see when you come to Hamvention?
Well, I went to the Collins Forum, and in fact, when I was driving out from Boston here to Dayton, I think it was W9ST or K9ST, he and I were on 14652 talking to each other for about 50 miles out to Dayton, and I went and listened to his forum, and I thought it was excellent. So the Collins Forum, I'm a contester, so I like the contest forum that'll be tomorrow. The antenna section today was outstanding. In fact, there was a fellow who was 86 years old, and he just put up a 3-element 80-meter antenna at 150 feet at 86. Now, I tell you what, if I'm still climbing towers at 86, that's a good day. But for him to put up a 3-element at 100, and I just talked to him a few minutes ago, just a nice fellow, too. Been married 62 years, so.
Maybe that's the secret.
No. Well, I don't know. My wife keeps telling me I'm cementing myself in every tower I put up, so I'm not sure that's a secret. Maybe it is. It's hard to tell.
So is there anything you're going to leave here with that you can't live without?
Well, actually, we just had a conversation with a friend of mine here about leaving with something, and I got close. I did a flyby, but I don't think so.
So not the Luso Tower?
Well, I don't know where I put the tower, but no, I don't know. That tower that's 120 foot, $20,000, I looked at that. The problem with it can't handle much of a wind load, and I've got rolling 55, so actually that would handle less. The only nice part is it comes down, but no, thank you. 20K is a lot.
So will you be back at Hamvention again next year?
Absolutely.
All right, so I think so far it's a success. Bruce, thank you.
73s, take care, bye.
Standing here at the Whistler booth once again with Wendy Taylor, no call sign. I don't remember, but I think we talked about this last year.
Yes, I'm working on my license. I just have to go down and take the test. I've been told I need to take it while I'm here, but I don't know that I can get the guys to watch the booth for me while I'm gone. So.
And I don't know that you should trust them even if they did.
Exactly. You never know. Things might walk away.
All right. So, Wendy, tell us about Whistler and tell us about some of your products.
Oh, so Whistler is the leader in the market for scanners. We are one of the only scanner manufacturers out there right now that has NXDN on our scanners. So we do have a full line of scanners, all the way from analog scanners, our WS1010 and 1025, all the way up to our newest models, which are our digital models, the TRX1 and TRX2. The TRX1 and 2 came out last year, Hamvention. They're out this year, but we released an NXDN update in December 2016. So everybody's working on that right now.
Now, speaking of updates, that's been one of the most exciting things about these models is that you guys have released new codecs, new modes since the product originally came out, which extends the life and utility of the scanner. So what modes have you released since the initial launch?
So the initial launch, we came out with DMR, we came out with NXDN in December. We continue to work with all of our users, definitely everybody on Radio Reference, to go through if they're having an issue with any of our modes on any of their systems. We'll work with them, try to work and see what's the issue that they're having, work at their logs and everything, and go through and see if we can make adjustments, and we'll make adjustments to our code and release that out to the public. So it does work on upgrading the scanners on a regular basis, and it makes it better for the users.
All right, so for your digital scanners, what modes did they come with out of the box?
So out of the box, the TRX1 and TRX2 will have DMR and NXDN.
So what did you guys bring anything new or announce anything new this year at Hamvention?
We did not bring anything new to the convention this year. We did announce this morning that we're going to have an upgrade system for our legacy units, which was our GRE PSR 600. I'm going to get that wrong. I always get that wrong. PSR 800, the Pro 668, and the Pro 18. Those units will all be upgradable. You'll actually go to our website starting on June 1st, and then from there you'll be able to purchase the upgrade. It's $59.99. It'll give you instructions to send your unit to us at our Whistler Repair Center. They will upgrade your unit and they'll send it back to you within 2 weeks, and that will actually get you an upgrade on those units to DMR and Motorola Turbo. So that'll be a huge upgrade for those systems. Radio Shack has gone out of business. GRA has been acquired. So those units are no longer supported. So they will be supported now going forward by Whistler.
Well, that's really wonderful news for folks who have some of those legacy units. So thank you very much for your time. If somebody wanted to know more about your products, where would they go online?
They can check us out at whistlergroup.com, and we have all of our units out there as far as our scanners, and we also make a full line of mobile electronics, including power inverters and portable jump starters, so those are out there too.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
No problem, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Ham Radio 360 podcast, brought to you by Main Trading Company, Paris, Texas, and by Elecraft.com, hands-on ham radio. To learn more about the show, visit our website, hamradio360.com. 73s, y'all.